What up guys, this is Tyler Phillips here, and in this video we'll be disassembling and reassembling a Winchester Model 94 chamber in 3030. Let's get into it.
Alright, this here is a Winchester Model 94. This was my dad's whenever he was little. This is from the 80s basically. So the first thing we'll start with is what tools you'll need. Now you'll need two different size screwdrivers, flatheads, and you'll need some pins and a mallet to knock out the pins and get the front sight cover off. So the first thing we'll start with is the front sight cover and all that. So let me get that off there. Alright, so I got my front sight cover off. So you do not want to damage that because it's a pain. Try not to damage it. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll take off these bands here. So you take your smaller size screwdriver and you take these screws out. They're right in the center. Right in the center. So that's for the handguard, and then you flip it over. Mine were kind of backwards. Then you remove the forwardmost screw for the bands. Okay, so once you do that, you would have two different size bands. This one for the handguard, with this one not. If you can see that, they're two different sizes. So once you get those off, you slide them off. Now we'll be removing the mag tube spring. There's just a small little screw right here on the front. Now this is under tension, so you want to hold this little button at the end, this little plug at the end of it, so your spring go flying out. Now once you get that off, all you have to do now is slide the mag tube out. Okay, once you get that little plug off, you just slide it off. Now you want to spin these little bands here and slide them right off. Okay, so now we just remove the handguard, and there we go. Once we do that, we remove the follower, the mag tube follower. Okay, so that is all you have to do with the front. Now let's move on to the back. Now what we're going to do is remove the stock. You get your larger flathead. You go to the back here, there's a large screw right there. Unscrew it. Should come right out. And then boom, you just slide your stock right off. And that's all you're really going to have to do with that. There's nothing really else back there. Now it's time to get into the receiver. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll flip it over here. We'll remove this screw right here. Okay, once we remove this screw, we'll set this off to the side. You might sometimes, might need to use your pin punches because they get in there pretty good, and once you unthread them, some of them have extra bit of bolt on there. So yeah, so set it off to the side. Then we'll move this larger screw here. Set that over there with that, and then right here you want to flip it over. You get your pin punch, your pin punch there. Push out that pin. It's holding this lever here inside of the bolt. Now what you want to do is unscrew this right here. This screw right here. And you want to set that separate from these because they're the same size. This bolt right here, this screw right here, holds in the trigger mechanism. Okay, I forgot to tell you. I did it wrong, but I forgot to tell y'all. Whenever y'all unscrew that, make sure that the hammer is pulled back so you can easily get it out, and you keep the spring in there. Now This here is your trigger mechanism and all that. You want to just set that off to the side. That can stay like that, and I'll show you what else you need to do. Now all you got to do is remove this from under here. Set that up here. You don't need to take this apart anymore unless you like re-bluing or whatever, which just leave that to the professionals. Now we'll remove this screw right here. And then we'll flip over and remove this screw right here. Now this one, yes, this one right here, you're going to need to take a pin punch and knock it out a bit. It's one of those bolts that I was talking about. Okay, so once you got that there, you just set that off to the side, up there by itself. Now the screw, this smaller screw here, what I was removing was the this cover here that you slide your rounds into. Now this is only held on by one little screw. Now you set that off to the side by itself. Now all you got to do is slide the bolt out, boom, remove the firing pin. Okay, there are two more things in here that you got to remove. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're held on by a screw right here. Now you want to take that screw and that piece that you just took out, set that right there like that. Then you want to flip it over and then unscrew a piece right here. Alright. Okay, so you set that off to the side. Get this screw out of here. Okay, so there you go. That's all you really need to do. There's nothing else you need to take out. There's another piece in here that you can take out. Not sure what it is. I didn't take it out. You really don't need to take it out. But there's a screw right there. And then there's these two little screws here that you don't need to take out because they don't go in anything. I'm pretty sure they're like mount screws, but I'm not sure. If you know what they're there for, just tell me in the comments. I don't remove them. Now, that's all you really got to do here. You just, clean it up, whatever you're going to do with it. And now it's time to reassemble it. Now, to reassemble, you want to start with these little things we removed here. You want to flip it up like this. They go in like this, not like this, like that. So, so once you get it, you just slide it down in there. There should be a groove, and you just look for the screw goes. There we go. Then you put your screw in it. You line up the hole. Now, I'm not a gunsmith or anything, so if you do this and your rifle gets jacked up or anything like that, it's not my fault. This is how my rifle comes apart, and that's how I take it apart. I watched a video, the same model, older models of this may be held together differently, so they're not always held together with screws. So I recommend watching this video and watching other videos as well on how to take these rifles apart, because they're all kind of different. Now, once you get this in here, get those two little thingamabob back in there. Then you want to go with this this cover here. You want to slide it in like this. You take your finger, go up underneath, line up the holes over here, make sure that it's kind of touching the lip of this. You don't want it sticking out, then you're going to have to unscrew it or whatever. you take your screw. Wrong screw. Take your screw. You don't do that. Okay, so take your screw. Screw it back into place. As tight as you can get it. Test it, see if it opens up. If it does, you're good. Now, the next thing we'll do is reinsert the firing pin into the bolt. Now, when you reinsert this, there's a little groove here. Not a groove, but it's kind of cut to be smooth against the bolt. Now, that's how you want to insert it. Now, then you just slide it in through the top. And the next thing we'll add is the this thingamabob here. It's like a stop or whatever, so you don't fire you can't, well, it allows your hammer to smack and all that or whatever. Basically what you do is you slide it in through the bottom here. You want to put pressure on your bolt forward and slide it down. Okay, so it should look like this when you're done with it. Okay, now the next thing we'll reinsert is this little thingamabob here. Now this guides your bullets into the chamber. So what you do here is you stick that little thingamabob down there, and you line it up with this hole right here. Okay, like so. Then you reinsert it. And reinsert your little which one? Yeah, your little pin thingy through here. Once you get that thingamabob in there, you just screw it back in. Now we'll reinsert the lever here. And what you want to do, well, I'll take that back. What you want to do is you want to put the trigger back in there. Now to do that, like you see, if you had the same issue with me and you followed my instructions before I told you that you need to pull the hammer back, this is what you need to do. You press the safety here. You slide the hammer forward. There's a little lip there that needs to go inside that spring. You turn that the end of the spring right here. See, there's a little lip right here. It's like a round lip that goes into the center of the spring. Then, once you got that hooked on there, make sure you got it hooked on there good. You don't want it to slide off. Once you get that on there, then this right here, there's a lip, there's a little notch there. You want to get that in the notch. You want to click that hammer back. Once you got it, boom, that's how it needs to look. You want to click the hammer all the way back. You want to flip it over. Now then we slide it in here. Now, like I said, there's different models. Well, it's the same model, but they're made slightly different. You may need a hammer to get it in here, like a mallet or whatever, to tap it in there, because it might be a little too snug. But not all of them are like that. Now what you do is you reinsert your little screw here, one of those longer screws. And you just tighten that sucker up, get it snug where it still can move and all that. Now what you want to do is, since the hammer's back, you want to push this little thingamabob out just a hair. You want to slide the bolt back. You want to lift this sucker up here like so. You want to slide the bolt back to about there. Now we're going to reinsert the lever. Now what you want to do is stick this part right here through this groove. Through this groove here. Let me just show you up close. There's a groove. and then there's another groove on the bolt. You'll see it when you look down into the receiver. Now you want to slide the little hook looking thing through there and attach it. Now you want to lift up on this little thingamabob here. You want to slide it in the back of this little part of the lever right here. Then you want to, if it's in there properly, which mine is not, let me just fix that. Hook it. Okay, now if you got it in there, it should go right in here smoothly. Now you want to take one of your little bolts here, and you want to hook. You want to re-bolt this to the receiver body, right up at the front. That front screw that we removed first. You want to tighten that sucker down. And we almost finished here. Now what you want to do is you want to slide your bolt forward as far as possible. Now if you got your bolt slid all the way forward, it should look like that on the top. Should look like that. Everything flush. Now, right where that little opening is for the biggest screw that we have, there should be a opening. Now you want to take this little pin, the only pin you really got out of it, if it's this exact make, year. So you want to you gotta play around with the lever a bit, but once you get it, you just slide this pin right in there. Just make sure it's all aligned. Let me just get this here aligned. Okay, so once you get that pin in there, you take your pin punch, you push it all the way back to the side, right here, all the way back. Push it there. And you want to take your big old flat screw here, a little tiny, but you want to get your screw here, take it, and you tighten that sucker down. We almost done now. All right, so we got the receiver put together and all working properly. Now what we want to do is put the stock back on. Now, if you look at it this way, you think it might go properly like this, but you're wrong. It's upside down. You want to take it, flip it over. Now, at the top, it's all flat, and at the bottom, there's a cutout right here. That cutout covers up the trigger mechanism. You want to just slide that in, make sure it's flush all the way to the body of the receiver. You take your big bolt, you slide it through the top, you screw it down, you jiggle it a bit. Once you get it all the way in there. Okay, so once you got your stock on there, once you get your stock on there real good, you almost finished. You're more than halfway there. You take your little follower here, you slide the little nubbly part back inwards towards the receiver. Then what you want to do, you want to take your foregrip, you slide it, make sure it's flush. Now yours may or may not click, but then you want to take your barrel. I need to clean it a bit. There's a little rust on it. This has been put up a bit. Wasn't very taken care of whenever my dad had it. So I need to, scrub it down real good. So you take your mag tube, you slide it right. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Now what you do is you take your little rings here, and you put them back on. Make sure they're not upside down. If they're upside down, fix it. You take your that's upside down. Okay. So once you get your little your rings back on there, and then you take your mag tube. There's a little notch right there. There's a notch right there, and there's a notch on the barrel right here. You want those aligned. Like, by aligned, I mean basically they're facing each other. Darn it, I put it on wrong. Okay, so make sure when you're putting these things on, you put it on properly. Because I am bad at doing that. By putting them on properly, I mean the right direction. Okay, so now, like I said, with those notches, you slide your barrel, slide your mag tube back on. You get those notches lined up because you got to get a screw through there. Make sure it's pushed all the way back. Then you take your long screw, you put that through the foregrip here to hold that in place. You tighten that sucker down real good. Okay, once you get that sucker tightened real good, and then you line this little thing up with those notches. You take your fatter screw. Wrong screw. That's for the mag tube. Now you take this screw right here. It looks like kind of like a flashlight, right? You take it, then you're gonna have to put some pressure down. Now once you get some pressure down on it, it should thread pretty easily. Now this will take a second or so. Alright, once you get that sucker tightened down, you take your mag tube spring and you start kind of threading it in there. Just whoop. Now whenever it gets some pressure on it, if you haven't done this before, you wanna hold one end of the spring with your hand and feed it in with the other. Now then you take your plug at the end here, you just slide that in there. You wanna make sure you get your spring in there pretty good. You got a good grip on it. Okay, so once you get your spring all the way down in there, you slide that plug in the end of the mag tube here, and then you insert your screw. Let me just go ahead and get to that. Alright, once you got your plug in there, you want to line up the two big holes together. You want to take your screw, you slide it in there. Once you slide it in there, you don't need to hold it no more unless you got it in there bad. All you got to do then is tighten it up. Once you tighten it up, then we'll move to the next thing. Now, at this point, we should be completely reassembled besides the sight cover. Now you take that front sight cover and you do the same thing what you did taking it off. You just hit it back on there. So let me just go ahead and hit that. Alright guys, that is how you disassemble and reassemble a Winchester Model 94. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. And in our next video, we'll be disassembling and reassembling a Bursa Thunder 380. So see ya.